Hey guys, so if you're on the list for learning on steroids, you're probably wondering, how can this program benefit me? How will it improve my learning life? So I'd like to get to that, but if you can just wait for a few minutes, I want to explain the background of the program and just why I think it's going to benefit so many people. So the initiation of this idea really came a few years ago when I wrote an article about how I was able to ace university and high school finals with virtually no studying. So I didn't think it was that important at the time, but the ideas in the article were new to a lot of people. A lot of people hadn't heard of a different learning philosophy, different learning ideas, and I've since received hundreds of emails from people who were excited about the ideas who have used them. Later I followed it up with a full book on the learning ideas, and that's since been downloaded and purchased thousands of times. So the core of the idea is that smart people don't just learn better than average learners. They learn differently. They have a different strategy for learning. So that different strategy is basically holistic learning. It's basically the opposite of rote memorization. So when you're learning by rote, you're trying to remember things by repetition, read it over and over and over again. When you're learning things holistically, you're trying to weave ideas together into a web. By linking ideas, you make them easier to remember. So just as a quick example, let's say you're trying to learn a calculus equation. Someone learning by repetition, by rote memorization, would just read the material over and over and over again. Keep looking at the formula, hoping that it would stick. Whereas a holistic learner, what they would do is try to find a way to connect that idea of the formula, to something else that they already know. So for example, they could use a metaphor or an analogy for the formula. They could visualize the formula. Now I know it sounds impossible to visualize a formula, but I'll teach you how to do that. That's going to be one of the implementation guides coming up. They could look at the background behind the formula. Who developed it? How did it come about? What's the history behind it? Or they could look at the proof for the formula. What is the building blocks for the formula? All of these things would help create a network of ideas around the original formula. And that really makes a much stronger foundation to work on. So the example I like to use of the difference between rote memorization and holistic learning is the difference between learning by a pile of bricks and a wall of bricks. Now I talked about this in the interview with Liam last time, but when you're learning by rote, you're basically just putting a brick into a random location and really trying to remember that it's there. Whereas holistic learning, you're putting bricks into a wall. So if one of the bricks is missing, there's a very obvious hole, and it's fairly easy to figure out where that brick could go. So you don't need to remember everything perfectly when you're learning holistically, but the sheer amount of connections means it's a lot harder to miss things, a lot harder for things to fall through the mesh. So I'll spare you the full details of the holistic learning program because I've included a link to an ebook below. You can read more about it. It's a short ebook, it's completely free, but suffice to say the results were dramatic for the students that entered the program. I had a lot of students tell me that they're learning faster now, they're getting better grades. A lot of students say that they're learning with less stress because they have an idea of how it should work instead of just handing the material and like, how can I ingest all of this? They have a strategy. Even more, it's been great to hear from students that have told me that they thought they were born to fail at their subject, that they just couldn't learn it. And by getting this strategy, getting these new ideas, they really have hope and an actionable plan to become good at the subject that they were worried that they wouldn't be able to do good in. Or do well in. So where do you come in? So learning on steroids is about rapid learning tactics, and these rapid learning tactics are a collection of both holistic learning tactics that have been tested throughout the years that I've been selling the book, and also learning skills that have been collected from other rapid learners who have achieved some pretty amazing feats. So the two real goals for the program are, first, that you'll get a philosophy of rapid learning. Included with the program when you sign up is a PDF which introduces rapid learning, introduces the background behind holistic learning, as well as other rapid learning philosophies for putting it into place. So as Liam mentioned in the last audio interview, it's very important to have a philosophy, because if you don't know what success looks like, how can you hope to achieve it? So second, we'll actually be putting those rapid learning tactics into place. And I really think this is the main benefit of the program. If you can learn rapidly, if you can put these tactics into place, then you won't just hear about results, you won't just read about results, you'll actually experience them. So what can you achieve? So as this is the first round, I can't say for sure what the results are going to be. I can't say that the typical result will be that everyone aces their final or increases their IQ to 150. I can't say that. Although students I've worked with Learn More, Study Less and other programs have never ceased to amaze me with the impact they've gotten with their results. However, what my promise is to you is that if you follow the program, you commit to doing the work. It is an active program, it's not just reading. If you commit to doing the work of the program, then you can implement one new rapid learning tactic per month. So just as an example of what that might look like, here are a few of the implementation guides and rapid learning tactics that we'll be covering in the program that are going to be coming out in the first few months. So speed reading. This is a set of techniques that I've used that I used in the past to go from 450 words per minute to up to 900 words per minute with some books. So in some cases, doubling my reading rate. Using a system very similar to the one I'm advocating in Learn More, Study Less, except I had to do it by myself. Another one, metaphors and deliberate linking. So remember I told you that there was an alternative to rote memorization, that you could link ideas together? Well, we'll be covering exactly how to do that in practice. 3, linking and pegging. These are specific memory techniques that mental magicians use to memorize strings of 1,000 numbers, or memorize which card in a deck of 52 is missing just by looking at the other 51 one by one. These are a series of techniques that allow you to perform mental feats that most people think are impossible or only savants can use. And it is something you can practice. It is a little bit difficult, but it is a technique that we will be covering in the program. So I'm not just saying this to hype the results, because I really want to focus on not just giving you ideas, but actually implementing them. And I think that if you follow the program, it is an achievable goal to implement one rapid learning technique per month. It might take a little bit longer to master, but implementation is our first goal. So I think also these rapid learning techniques will allow you to achieve really big results with your learning life. So that could mean getting better grades if you're in school, getting the same grades with less stress if you're already an accomplished student and you want to just be learning better without all the stress. Or even if you're an active self-learner, being able to learn more if you don't have a lot of time, if you have a job or other commitments that take you away from your learning. So January 9th, 11 a.m. Pacific time or 8 p.m. For people in continental Europe like myself. Hope to see you there. Hope to see you join the program. Thank you.